Thanks for checking out this episode of the Screen Facts with Jason Davis podcast, where we discuss a movie, we share some fun trivia facts about the film during the conversation, and we invite you to get involved too by commenting and asking questions or whatever you want to do on Facebook, facebook.com/screenfacts. You could also tweet me at Jason Davis Voice or email screenfacts@yahoo.com. By the way, just want to let you know that we are not doing weekly episodes anymore. However, whenever we can do an episode, we'll put it out there. Wednesdays is when we're going to do it, so that's when you should be checking for new episodes. And remember that if you go to jasondavisvoice.com/podcast, you can get all the information you need about how to look up past episodes of the show as well. So joining me on this episode of the podcast, the first one of 2017, my man, my buddy, Erik Reitz.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm not even sure how we landed on this movie, but it's a great one. Watched it again last night to prepare for the podcast, and I've come to the conclusion I am a really big fan of Rob Reiner.
Oh, absolutely. Meathead is among the best, Hollywood's best.
He's one of the best directors ever, I think.
Absolutely.
So many great movies.
Well, I think part of him being an actor definitely helps him, well, in so many facets. Like, when we talk about this movie and how he selects people and stuff, I think it just shows, and that's why he makes quality stuff.
Yeah, and if you're listening right now, you're probably going, well, what Rob Reiner movie are you going to be talking about?
Oh.
Actually, you probably do know that because you clicked on something. So, but we are talking about Stand By Me.
Excellent. Love it. Saw it in the theaters when it came out.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that during the movie, there was applause. And then at the end, you just fade and you stop, and you're watching the screen, and the lights go up and people are still, sitting there.
Yeah.
It's just one of those movies.
Well, there's a couple of things. First off, I'm a sucker for a good coming-of-age movie.
Absolutely.
Coming-of-age movies always resonate with me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's not because I had this fantastic childhood or whatever.
Right.
Maybe that's why. Maybe because I wish I lived the life that these kids had.
Yeah.
Where they go off on this little adventure,
And for me, it resonates a lot because I had a summer when I was around that age, 13 years old, and I lived near a railroad track. And there was a summer where a couple friends, we spent all day walking along the tracks. There was a lumber yard. Sometimes we kind of broke into the lumber yard and took some wood and we built a fort and stuff. And we also rode our bikes up to a ravine and we'd go swimming. We spent the whole day just being out. Even though there's a world of difference between 1959 and 1975, say.
Right.
76, 77, still I get to spend the whole day in the summer with friends and not having to be texted back and forth with my parents. Where are you? Are you okay? And all that. We just assumed we were fine. Now, we did some stuff where we could have killed ourselves.
Yeah. Well, when we were watching the movie, before we start getting into all that, let's just do the housekeeping first. So released August 22nd, 1986. So this year celebrated its 30th anniversary. Hard to believe.
Last year celebrated its 30th anniversary.
Good call. That's right. But the stars Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, Kiefer Sutherland, and Richard Dreyfuss with a small role as the writer.
Right.
And he actually was hired as the writer after several other actors were considered, including Michael McKean, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. Well, what really got me is they had David Dukes. He was cast. They had already started filming with him. But basically, they just decided he didn't have the right voice.
Yeah, that's it. And that's very interesting because I think Richard Dreyfuss's voiceover performance is wonderful in the movie.
Absolutely.
He's got a perfect cadence, I think.
It's very comforting and warming, and it just goes so well with the character that Will Wheaton built up during the movie.
Right. And he actually, in real life, Richard Dreyfuss and Rob Reiner, the director, which we talked about already at the top of the podcast, they were good friends. They grew up together. They went to high school together. And Richard Dreyfuss actually said when he saw this movie, he felt like, wow, I felt like I was sort of watching how Rob and I grew up in some ways.
Yeah. Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
I also liked how Reiner brought in the guy that played the older brother that died.
John Cusack.
Because John, that part had so little screen time, but yet you needed someone that just made you really feel that, wow, what a great kid this older brother was. And John Cusack just, for me, fit that part very well. It's like, you liked him right away.
I love him. I'm a big fan of his work. He's a great actor, and I thought he was terrific.
Well,
I mean,
and
he was
also-
just amazing.
Well, and also let's just remember that Gordy is remembering his older brother. Well, he's only remembering the best things. And all the snippets are, just the most perfect little bits.
Yeah, but they kind of painted that character in the story itself as being like, he was the golden child. I mean, he was the star quarterback on the high school football team,
Right.
The fact that dynamic of how Gordy felt like he didn't matter to his dad because Denny was so, was like a star athlete and everything else. He didn't have that kind of a relationship with his dad.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the story.
Oh, absolutely. And how Gordy wasn't mad at his older brother for being the perfect kid, because usually siblings, there's rivalry. But his brother was so good at making him feel worth, which his father didn't do.
Right. And that's one of the things I love about that role for John Cusack is that, his dad the whole time, there's going to be scouts there at the game, so you got to be focused, blah, blah, blah. And he said, hey, Dad, did you see Gordy's story that he wrote? It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to put some of his dad's attention on his brother. So I think that's very cool. He doesn't revel in
himself.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very, very cool. And before we brush past all the people in the cast, we have to say how great these young actors were in this movie.
Oh, fantastic. And I think part of it is definitely due to Rob Reiner when he was looking at all of them. With Will Wheaton, he said he needed someone for the Gordy character to be intelligent, portray very sensitive,
right,
and kind of had like those big doughy-eyed,
right,
innocence.
It's funny that you say that because the scene in the movie where Will Wheaton has that moment with the deer on the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
He says that people have told him that you look at his face and you look at the doe's face and it's like the same face.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's such a great scene in the movie, too.
Oh, definitely. And then next there's River Phoenix, who plays Chris. Reiner said he was a perfect fit because he had like that rebel kind of attitude and feel, but he was also a natural leader, peacemaker.
Because he grew up in a hippie family.
Well, that was it. He called him an earth person.
Yeah.
Because he was raised by these hippies that lived in and out of VW bugs and stuff. So. Then you go to Corey Feldman, who played Teddy.
Right.
Corey was, of course,
very angry.
Angry, had this tumultuous relationship with his parents. It kind of sounds like, to me, like he was almost a commodity where his parents were just managing him.
Yeah.
I think he definitely had some anger in there, and that character had some great lines. Then you had Jerry O'Connell, who played Vern. Right. He was only 11.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And this was really his first big gig.
Yeah.
Apparently he had done some commercials. Reiner just looked at this character as kind of like, the goofy, wacky kid. He kind of fit the bill because he was an inexperienced actor, and he came to the set as, wow.
This kind of wide-eyed kid, probably.
Look at all this. Yeah. So, he fit the bill perfectly.
It's funny because we were watching the featurette on the Blu-ray, and they're interviewing all the main actors now.
Right.
Sue made a comment that Jerry O'Connell seems as goofy now as he was back then.
Really?
Which sort of, he looks a lot different, obviously. But yeah, I mean, they've all gone on, obviously, with the exception, sadly, of River Phoenix, who died of a drug overdose a few years after this.
Yeah.
Which is really a shame because you talk about a guy that was like at the top of his game.
He would have been staying power actor.
Forget it.
We would have liked.
He was phenomenal, I mean, he did other movies besides this where he shined.
Yeah.
So at least he has, somewhat of a body of work that people can look back on.
Right.
It's kind of like Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
There's always these young actors that unfortunately bad things happen and we lose them too soon, and you just never know what they could have been.
What could have been.
Yeah,
exactly.
Kiefer Sutherland is so good in this movie.
And it's funny because we watch Designated Survivor.
Okay.
And he plays a character that is more, introspective and quiet, speaks a little more softly, which apparently is more of his actual persona.
He's always, I think even in this, he's sort of soft-spoken because he's got that real measured,
Yeah, but he was a badass.
Oh, big time.
Badass in this movie. In fact, it's funny because Jerry O'Connell said he was actually afraid of Kiefer. And, Kiefer, again, he was a method actor.
Right.
So apparently he kept in character. And
he teased them. Yeah.
Right. He would tease the kids. And Will Wheaton said he doesn't recall ever really being scared, but definitely Jerry O'Connell was.
Yeah, well, because he was 11. So Kiefer Sutherland has that really rich voice, too. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like, when a bad guy doesn't have to yell and be really in your face in order to intimidate, he just has that real kind of...
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. You're going to leave. We're going to take the body. You know, that kind of, like the way he talks.
Yeah,
I can't talk like him, but you know what I'm saying? Like, real soft-spoken. And that's scarier, I think, than a guy that's like, listen, we're taking that body, you know. And,
who's with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
Actually, the director was going to be somebody else.
Okay.
It was going to be Adrian Lin from Fatal Attraction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but apparently was going to go on vacation. So Rob Reiner, that was still early in his transition.
Yeah, that's true. He hadn't really done a lot of movies
Yeah.
prior to this.
Yeah, but he had already done Spinal Tap and The Sure Thing, which is where he met Cusack and brought him on. So you know how long it took them to shoot the movie?
I don't, actually.
60 days.
Wow.
They did it over a summer in Oregon.
So there's a funny story about how they ended up in Oregon.
Oh.
The original story takes place in Maine, but
Which most of Stephen King's stuff does.
Exactly. Yeah. And what happened was, I guess, when the producers or whoever started scouting locations or whatever for this movie, they assumed it was Oregon because it was Portland, Maine was mentioned in the story.
Oh, really?
So they heard Portland. Oh, okay, so it's in Oregon. So,
oh, my gosh.
And then they just, I guess it was just either too late or they figured, it's kind of pretty here, so let's go
Well, you know
forward
what?
with it.
Well, and they lucked out, too, because they had a really nice summer while they were filming, which is very lucky because this whole movie only spanned 2 days. So you couldn't have a whole lot of massive weather changes.
Yeah, if they had cloudy days and sunny days, then it would have been really weird to kind of make that all match up. Yeah, so that works out well. Near
the end, where they find the body, that scene is supposed to be darker weather-wise with wind and a storm coming. So having this nice summer weather, they had to do stuff.
I noticed that it was very windy when they discovered the body.
They brought out a wind machine.
That's really funny.
Did, I don't know, whatever they do with the...
They put something over the lens, maybe?
Right, to make it grayer.
Okay.
And they tied off some fishing line to some of the trees, branches and stuff.
Oh, that's very cool.
And just had people pulling them offline.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Hey, again, you don't need CGI to make everything work sometimes.
I know. Well, the funny thing is, I was watching that scene thinking, wow, it really looks like the weather took a turn for the worse. and I'm going, wow, they must be really cold because the wind's blowing and they look, even though it's summer.
Right.
But yeah, that's very interesting that they created that.
But how great was that for that scene?
Oh, yeah.
That made so much sense.
Yeah.
After this long trek, and here's their climax is finding this body.
Yeah.
And it only made sense for it to then get, dark and a little foreboding.
Yeah. Rob Reiner credits a lot of the success with how well the cast worked together and everything else because of the fact that he was an actor. And even Will Wheaton said that he learned the term an actor's director from working with Rob Reiner. Because before they started shooting, they played all kinds of theater games together. They got the boys together, and gave them an opportunity.
Like a hotel room suite, and they had them all together.
They gave them an opportunity to bond in real life.
Yeah.
So when they were on screen together, it would seem like they knew each other for a long time.
That was a great idea. And
Absolutely.
And it worked.
Absolutely.
They did a lot of those, Boy Scout team building exercise, falling backwards and putting blindfolds on somebody, then giving them directions to walk through the lobby of the hotel and stuff like that. And then they got to do stuff together.
Yeah.
Like Will Wheaton apparently did something to one of the video games.
Yeah.
And but he
rigged it.
He didn't want to. Yeah, he rigged it so they could play without paying for it.
Yeah.
But he was nervous about doing it.
Which was a big deal in the mid-'80s. You got to think about that. Kids at that age were in arcades everywhere and love video games like that. And, they don't have a lot of money in their pockets. So, of course, they're going to want to be able to play Pac-Man or whatever for free.
Well, and what was cool was that River Phoenix, kind of similar to the character he was going to play, was saying, look, if it gets figured out, I'll take the blame for it. I was like, how cool is that?
Very
Which
cool.
is, I thought that's kind of like what Chris was going to be like.
Stephen King obviously has made a career out of supernatural, horror, really freaky kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And this movie is not that at all. It's very emotional. It's a coming of age. It's, it's
when
very different.
When I heard it was Stephen King, after I saw it, I'm like, really?
A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
Screenplay written by Reynold Gideon and Bruce A. Evans. Estimated budget, $8 million. Domestic gross $52.2 million. It's the 5th highest grossing movie based on a Stephen King story, behind The Green Mile, 1408, Misery, and Pet Sematary.
Loved Misery.
Loved it.
Loved Pet Sematary.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw 1408. Looks pretty awesome.
Nor did I.
Yeah.
The Green Mile is wonderful, too.
Yeah, Green Mile was great.
Amazing.
But still, and that's when you think that, oh my gosh, this Stand By Me was only his 5th?
For movies, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
And that's, think of like all the movies, Cujo, Carrie, Christine, The Shining. I mean, there's like a ton of really iconic horror movies based on Stephen King stories that are not in the top 5.
Yeah.
Misery, by the way, also directed by Rob Reiner.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh man!
Again,
he did a great job.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying I'm discovering that I really love Rob Reiner's work. He's done so many movies that I'm a big fan of. Mm-hmm. A couple of them based on Stephen King stories. Mm-hmm. And Stephen King actually said that this was the best adaptation of his work that he's ever seen. This movie. And there's actually 2 other movies that were adapted from the book that Stand By Me comes from. Different seasons. Shawshank Redemption is also from that.
It's funny because at some part in Stand By Me, Teddy is talking, I don't know, saying something about maybe going to jail or something. He mentions going to the shank.
Well, it's funny that you say that because most Stephen King stories do mention characters or things from other Stephen King stories. So let's see. Ace Merrill, which is the character that Kiefer Sutherland plays, later reappeared in the book Needful Things. The dog Chopper is sort of like Cujo a little bit.
All right. Sick balls.
The Chopper sick balls. The characters are familiar with Shawshank Prison from Shawshank Redemption, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Teddy, is it Duchamp or Duchamp?
Duchamp.
It depends on who's talking. He says Duchamp.
Well,
they call him Duchamp.
Duchamp. Well, he's French.
Yeah. So he was originally mentioned in Carrie.
Oh, really?
Which Carrie destroys a gas station that he worked at.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there's
cool.
these crossovers, which I think is pretty cool. By the way, the screenplay was nominated for an Oscar, and it received Best Drama and Best Director Golden Globe nominations as well.
Cool. Now, Will Wheaton, is there a family thing?
Yes.
Is it something about Wagon Train?
Yeah.
Like his grandfather?
Yeah, his grandfather starred in Wagon Train.
Okay.
And so his grandmother asked that somehow they work that into the script.
Well, I think that's great because at the one point, they're talking about movies and TV shows and stuff.
Yeah,
and Will Wheaton says, Wagon Train, they never seem to go anywhere. They just keep wagon training.
Yeah.
I wonder if his grandma was like, really? You couldn't come up with something
better than that? Yeah.
Well,
it's funny because they had that really deep conversation. Well, the first thing starts with when they're walking on the railroad tracks. Vern says to Teddy, I think Mighty Mouse could beat up Superman.
Right.
And he goes, what are you, cracked? He goes, well, he's really strong. I saw him carrying 5 elephants.
5 elephants in one hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a cartoon.
Superman's a real guy.
It's like, oh, my God. But it'd be a great fight. Well, I like the very beginning when it opens, you're looking at the tree fort. Mm-hmm. And Vern goes walking up and...
He does the secret knock.
But he does it wrong.
He never remembers how to do the secret knock.
He doesn't know how to do it. And that was Will Wheaton's idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect because that just shows, he's kind of the goofball of the group. He's kind of like, the low one on the totem pole.
And by the way, that was something that I started to say earlier and I kind of got sidetracked. Mm-hmm. How this movie really does transport you. I didn't grow up in 1959, but when they show Will Wheaton, I think he goes and he buys a comic book and then he walks to the tree house. Mm-hmm. And you see him walking through the town. Yeah. And it's just this beautiful, pristine, quiet.
Well, there's only 2,100 people in that town.
I know,
so
but
how dirty are you going to get?
But you go, oh, it looks like such a nice time to be a kid,
Yeah.
And then another part that I really like is when
then you got 20-year-olds beating you up in the middle of daylight.
Well, I mean, there's something really disturbing about the scene where Ace pushes Chris to the ground. He's threatening him with the cigarette butt, and his brother's standing right there, and he doesn't do anything.
Oh, his brother
is a dick.
Eyeball or whatever.
Yeah, eyeball. Yeah.
What a major douchebag.
Yes.
Because that scene.
Yeah.
And then at the body.
Yeah.
Friggin' Ace is taking a knife to him.
Yeah.
He's going to cut his throat.
Yeah.
And Eyeball's just like,
come on, Chris. Come on, Chris. Give it up, Chris.
It's just,
yeah.
It's just that was one of the scenes where people in the crowd were like, "Yeah, you bastard!"
Yeah, yeah. But what I was going to say is one of the other scenes that I really like that really kind of transports you is when Will Wheaton, where Gordy goes to the general store to buy the food with the $2.37 or whatever that they compile from all their
7
pocket change.
cents of which came from Vern.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. That's one of my favorite lines in the movie. One of my favorite lines in the movie. But so he goes into the store. Yeah. And the camera's facing the wall, and you see all the different products, and you see all the old labels from those products, and it's so cool. Yeah. It's so authentic, which I love.
It was great. Unfortunately, they had some aluminum cans.
Oh, okay.
That's no aluminum back then.
Only you would notice that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think it's cool when the shop owner, he's talking to him about his brother and all that, but then he puts this big hunk of meat on the counter. He goes, "There's $1.50 of hamburger." And it's like a gigantic package.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. very
I like
cool.
how then they prepared it.
Yeah.
Just on sticks.
On sticks.
I'm like, what? I mean, when the camping scene came up, and we're like, what the heck are they roasting on the sticks? Yeah. It took a little while. It's like, oh, is that the hamburger? And they're just balling it up. Okay. It's
a giant meatball.
Fish.
Yeah, meatball. Why not? I just love that stuff. As long as we're talking about the conversations that they're having by the campfire, too.
Yeah, right.
So, of course, the iconic one is Mickey's a mouse, Donald's a duck.
What the
Pluto's a dog.
Yeah, what the hell's Goofy? He's a dog. But he can't be because he drives a car and he has a tie or something. It's like, I love that stuff.
But then, like the next day, they're walking on the tracks, and they all have they make little pouches with their shirts filled with berries that they pick.
Oh,
to
right,
eat.
yes.
And Vern says to Gordy, he says, "Gee, Gordy, I wish you would have gotten more with the money.
Better breakfast,
better stuff to eat, like cherry pez and root beer."
Right.
And Gordy says, "Well, Vern, if I were a more experienced shopper, I could have gotten more with your 7 cents."
Exactly.
It's my favorite line in the movie.
I mean, Gordy put in over $1.
Yeah.
The other guys had at least 60 cents.
It's the best.
And of course, the one who's complaining
of
is
course.
the one that has the least. Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely.
All right. So what are some of the other iconic scenes we should talk about?
Oh, that train scene was friggin' crazy.
Oh, it's great.
They're talking about, all right, we're going to walk across this trestle, insane, hundreds of feet up in the air, over this, little river.
I would be terrified to walk across that, even if I knew there wasn't a train coming for hours.
Yeah, I'm not great with heights and looking down between the slats and everything.
No way.
And Teddy, of course, he's got a death wish. Right. Early in the movie, he's standing on the track, egging on a train.
Yeah, he wants to do a train dodge.
Right. I don't understand how that works.
You wait until the last possible moment to jump out of the way of the train. It's like playing chicken with the train.
Okay.
And then you
that clears it up. Thank you.
You jump off the track right before you're going to get hit by the train.
All right. Whatever. But they had a real train. There was a real train on that track. They were actually doing it, which I thought was very cool. But yeah, so he's a death wish there. He's got a death wish when they're talking about, well, we could walk down the river and cross at another bridge. And he's like, no, I'm walking across this no matter what. And off he just goes.
I mean, he's obviously very troubled because of his dad, who burns his ear off by holding it to a stove.
That's an interesting thing that 3 of the 4 main characters have issues with their father. Vern, we don't learn anything about his family. We just kind of assume that he's got an okay family life because we don't hear anything.
We kind of get a sense that if his parents find out that he was off in the woods with his friends, he's going to get his ass handed to him.
Right.
Which is normal for any kid would.
Exactly. So that's all we hear about him.
Right.
But yeah, we learned that, Chris's father is a drinker, like you were saying with Teddy with the ear burn. Right. Meanwhile, if you watch the movie, the level of injury to his ear changes.
I think I did notice that too.
Okay. All right. And then Gordy with his father. Like he says, how come Teddy loved his father even though he almost killed him?
Right.
But yet I hated my father who never raised a hand against me. Well, his father's a good, caring father, but we know he's
emotionally abusive.
Yes.
It's the difference between physically abusive and emotionally abusive.
Right.
And some could argue, myself included, that emotionally abusive might even be worse.
Might be worse.
And it might even leave deeper scars.
Yeah. It's weird that, all right, so Teddy's character, his father burns his ear and physically abuses him. But yeah, he's always defending him. Well, I think all he ever brings up is that my father stormed the beaches at Normandy.
Right.
When he's talking to the junkyard guy.
Right.
Who said, your father's a loony.
It's a great scene.
He said, my father stormed That was the scene that he auditioned with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was the scene. So obviously he got to show his anger there.
Oh, man.
Where he's like, "You son of a bitch,
Yeah.
my father stormed the beaches in Normandy, you big sack of shit."
motherfucker. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what a great scene
Yeah.
to do for an
absolutely.
audition. I mean, that shows whether you got it or not.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the pinnacle of the character. And if you can't pull that off, then you can't play that
You can't
character.
do any of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think what it is, if I'm going to analyze the situation,
Yeah.
I think Teddy is just trying to find a glimmer of something good in his dad. And the best thing he can come up with was that he's a war hero, which is obviously a great thing.
Sure.
And maybe he's making excuses for why his dad treats him so poorly.
Right.
Because his dad went through war, and war does things to people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe he's trying to say, I mean, it sucks
It's not
that my
his
dad.
fault,
Yeah, exactly.
in a way.
Exactly. But you talk about the emotions from these guys, these young kids, and how they come across on screen. Rob Reiner did an exercise with River Phoenix, the scene where he cries at the campfire when he's talking about how, they just assumed that I took the milk money, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out that he did take the milk money, but then he tried to return it, but the teacher ended up stealing the money herself to buy a new dress.
Yeah,
and then,
she had the skirt with the new polka dots on
right.
and stuff. Yeah.
So basically, the teacher was this adult that let him down. So
Right.
Rob Reiner wasn't getting the performance that he knew he could get from River Phoenix. He felt like he could do better. So he said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to try to go back, do a little sense memory. Think of a time when an adult let you down in some way, when they didn't have your back, where they really disappointed you.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute and really use that on the next take. So River Phoenix, went off and he thought about it. He goes, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
He thought about a time when an adult let him down in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what he ended up putting forth in the performance that ended up in the movie. And Rob
great.
Reiner hugged him afterwards and said, that
Gotta
was great.
talk him back down.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
imagine what Reiner probably had to do with in that train trestle scene when the train shows up.
Yes.
And, Gordy and Vern.
Yes.
Now Vern got to outrun the train.
Right.
Again, Reiner wasn't getting enough out of the two of them.
Right.
So he basically.
They didn't look scared enough.
They don't look scared enough.
Right.
Yeah. So he berated them.
Yeah.
And was saying, you guys are wasting our fucking time.
Yeah.
You're not giving me what we need.
These men are
guys-
tired of moving this camera back and forth to get the
Yep.
scene, and you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And he started really yelling, and they got
Yeah.
really upset.
And they started crying.
Yeah.
And he's like, quick, get on the tracks and start running.
Roll the camera.
And really, I mean, Jerry O'Connell, he was so red and scared. I mean, these two kids, man, they looked.
Hey, whatever you got to do to get the performance, I guess, when you're a director. I don't think he was trying to be mean. It worked.
And I wonder, in retrospect, I would think that the actors would say, you know what, he got it out of us, and that's what it is. It is a job. You know? It
absolutely.
is a job. They have
Absolutely.
to make it work. And it only helps them in their careers.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
unless they're somehow scarred for life.
No.
Meathead yelled at me.
That's the difference. I think, if he just yelled at them and then didn't afterwards say, great job.
Right.
I got what I was looking for. I'm sorry I had to yell at you. Whatever.
Right, yeah, exactly. When you see the final product, your mind's like, man, I look really scared. Good job. Good job, Rob.
We should talk about that scene a little bit further, too. It looks like the characters are in a lot of peril. I mean,
oh, my gosh. The train's right on their heels.
Right. But in that shot,
yes,
the train was actually at the far end of the trestle with the two actors on the opposite end.
Yeah.
And the crew used a 600 millimeter long focus lens.
Oh, I love that lens.
That shot at the telephoto end. It compressed the image so it made it look like the train was right behind them.
Okay. When we were in the theater, we're watching it. We're like shitting bricks out. I'm like, God, these guys are going to
Yeah, I mean, you want it to look as realistic as possible, but you can't risk actors getting hurt or anything. And they had stunt people involved. The scene took a full week to shoot. They had 4 small adult female stunt
because those
doubles.
fucking kids couldn't get their performances. That's why it took a week. Damn it.
I think that was only a small part of why it took a while, but 4 small adult female stunt doubles with closely cropped hair to make them look like the boys were used for the scene.
Also, the cigarettes, a lot of smoking cigarettes. Not real cigarettes.
That's correct.
I read 2 different things, cabbage leaves or lettuce leaves.
I read cabbage, and I read they used cabbage leaves because Rob Reiner insisted upon that. He was an avid non-smoker who campaigned for anti-smoking laws in California. So he's like, I'm not going to have these kids smoking cigarettes in this movie.
Well, good for him.
Which makes sense. Even though, for the viewer, they're smoking cigarettes. We don't know.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they look completely real.
Yeah.
And it's funny, they each seem to like hold them differently.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like River and
Teddy?
Teddy.
Yeah.
They looked like they knew how to hold cigarettes.
Right. Because
But
they're the badasses.
They
in the
were,
group.
yeah. But definitely Verno. If you look, he was kind of holding it weird. He did not look comfortable.
And it's really funny how he says, "Oh, a cigarette always tastes great after a meal."
Yeah, right.
Like his whole experience.
He does it all the time. Well, and they all laugh at him too.
Let's talk about another big scene in the movie. When Ace takes Gordy's cap, his Yankees cap.
Yes, early on.
Yeah, now remember, this is the lucky cap that John Cusack, his brother, gives to him.
Gave him. Yeah.
And it's a big moment in the movie, and obviously anything that he has from his brother is really important to him.
Yeah.
So Ace takes the hat off of him,
Yeah.
and his first inclination, Kiefer Sutherland, was to put it on.
Right.
Rob Reiner said, no, give it to Eyeball,
Right.
because you don't even care about the hat. You don't want the hat. The hat means nothing to you. You don't want to mess up your hair. You're just stealing it
Just
to be a dick. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Will Wheaton said to Rob Reiner, how come he doesn't get his cap back in the end? He goes, oh, he threw that cap away like as soon as he went around the corner. The cap meant nothing to him. He just wanted to be a dick.
Yeah.
So that's why Gordy never gets his cap back. But I think that's really a cool little detail in the movie.
Oh, definitely.
That they just wanted Ace to be this cruel guy who knows how much his cap means to him, to Gordy, and he just takes it from him, and he doesn't even want it.
Right, because it's more than just taunting.
Yeah.
It's just digging deep into this poor kid's heart.
Yep. The leeches.
Oh, yes. So they come across the water, and it's a swampy, crappy thing in the middle of the forest. And so Chris takes a stick, and he points it, and it's like, it's only a couple inches deep. He's like, oh, it's not deep. We can walk right across it.
Right.
They take 3 steps, and what
they
happens?
fall right in. Right.
Their whole bodies fall in.
Which plays is very funny.
Yes.
When you're watching the movie.
But also kind of gross. I mean, we were all like, because, I mean, that's skanky water. And even that little body of water was made for the movie.
Yes.
It still sat there.
Right, for a couple of months.
Right.
The idea was that they didn't want to put the boys in an actual swamp, in an actual pond. So they built something out in the woods thinking it's a controlled environment, except it was built 2 months before they shot the scene. So shit happened, you know?
Yeah.
And then by the time they shot the scene...
It was skanky.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it worked. It looked good. I mean...
That scene with the leeches, man, when he pulls his hand in the...
out,
yeah, but when he puts his hand in his shorts...
Well, just first when he's looking.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh...
Oh, Chris.
I just remember in the theater, we're all like, oh, no...
But when he pulls his hand out and it's like covered in blood.
And that leech was big and it's like on his hand.
Yeah.
And when he passes out, it's like nobody laughed in the theater.
No.
Nobody laughed. It felt so real and so serious. It was all
yeah.
I might be jumping ahead, but
the leeches, by the way, actually happened to Stephen King. Maybe not exactly, but he did have that experience where he was in water. A friend of his was with him, and he did like a handstand, and when his legs came out of the water, they were covered in leeches.
Oh, yuck!
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So the pond and coming up with leeches really happened to Stephen King when he was a kid.
Oh, nasty! Oh, I get skeeved out just thinking about. Oh, I got a mosquito.
We got to talk about lard ass too, because that's a great scene in the movie when he drinks the castor oil.
Oh my god!
Before
so
and then he cracks the egg in his mouth.
I was a big kid for a 12-year-old.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if he had like pillows in his. I mean, he looked like
he definitely was padded.
Padded a little bit, right?
Because you look at his arms,
he was pretty
big.
His
arms were pudgy, but I don't think they really went with that entire body.
Yeah, that he was definitely padded from.
Yeah,
but when he says 5 pies worth of vomit or whatever on the guy, it's so great.
That was so nasty.
I mean, you can tell it's not really coming from him, but it's still funny.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. Well, and I liked that since it was that kind of a story that. Not that it was cartoonish, but it was, it was bright and vibrant colors and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. And then when everybody starts puking on each other.
One lady pukes in her purse, the women's auxiliary pukes on the benevolent order of antelope.
The antelope, that's right, the antelope. The mayor pukes on his wife's tits.
Yeah.
There's not boobage.
Now you're saying, that's true. That's the only boobage, I guess, technically.
Well, no, but that's the one thing.
No, they mention Annette Funicello's tits, too.
And I
noticed how the A and the E are spreading out a little more.
Exactly. Well, and trying to be properly prepared, I did go online to look for photos of Annette Funicello at various ages.
1959, what'd she look like?
1959. she was definitely beginning to blossom. So the thing is, though, the names were in smaller letters put high up on their chests. So I couldn't find any pictures where it was Annetta. It doesn't. I think they knew not to do that.
Right.
So
that's probably a little too much.
The names were just up top.
One of the things I love in this movie is the dynamic between Chris and Gordy.
There's a lot of wisdom in those two boys.
And they help each other, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Chris doesn't think he's worth anything. He thinks he's forever doomed to be this kid that comes from a bad family. Nobody's going to ever give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right. He's never going to get out of this town.
And Gordy's always pumping him up. He's always saying, no, you don't have to be that. And because of Gordy's influence,
we find out that he ends up getting through high school and going to college. And then we really learn why this whole movie is going on.
Right.
We find out that he was killed in
right.
a convenience store trying to break up a fight.
Right. He gets stabbed in the throat.
And it was so sad when he's telling, when the narrator, the writer's saying that, we just see Chris walking away.
Right. River Phoenix, the young Chris.
Right. And he just fades.
And he just disappears. Right. He fades. That's heartbreaking when you're watching the movie, but then it's even more heartbreaking when you're watching the movie knowing that River Phoenix died a couple of years later. It's
yeah. But then Chris is great when Gordy's saying that my father hates me. And he said, no, he doesn't know you.
Right.
And he's right.
Right.
His father doesn't know this kid. His son's a brilliant writer. No, because his father's
been focused on Denny his whole life.
Right. So Chris is great at saying, no, your father doesn't know you. At one point he says, well, I wish I was your father because then I would tell you to stop all this bullshit about going to shop and follow, your dreams. God gave you this gift.
Right.
It's like, this is what we got for you, kid. Try not to lose it.
Right.
But kids lose everything unless there's someone there to look after them. And if your parents are too fucked up to do it, then maybe I should.
Yeah.
And
that's heavy for a kid that age to think like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is awesome that, because I bet if they did go their separate ways, neither one of them would have made it.
Absolutely.
They
were great for each other.
They were very symbiotic. They needed each other. And it was a beautiful thing.
So a couple of other things about the movie. Coca-Cola bought Embassy Pictures, the film's original production company, and announced they weren't going to fund it just 2 days before they were set to start shooting. Now, can you imagine all of the work that goes into making a movie, and you're ready to go, and you're excited?
All the mobility you're doing, you've
everything.
Got everybody
there's
there.
A ton of, and then they're getting ready to pull the plug. Norman Lear, who of course was one of the showrunners for All in the Family with Rob Reiner.
Right.
He believed in it so much that he personally put up the $8 million to make the movie.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
He wrote a check for $8 million.
Yep. That probably wasn't that hard for him to do at the time because he had a lot of success in television. In addition to All in the Family, I think, all the spinoffs too, the Jeffersons and Maude, all that stuff.
Yeah.
He was a pretty famous producer. And he also was involved behind the scenes. He was an executive producer of The Princess Bride too. Another Rob Reiner movie. Yeah.
Well, great movie.
Oh, fantastic.
Fantastic movie.
The other thing, Michael Jackson was asked to do a cover of Benny King's song, Stand By Me. And Rob Reiner said, no, you know what? I think it would be better to have the original.
Thank you, Rob Reiner.
Yes.
Nothing tweaks my spindle.
Nothing grinds your gears more.
Grinds my gears, boils my bottom. You've got this period movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And you've got this fantastic song. Now, Michael Jackson, great performer, incredibly talented, but darling, stand.
I'm going to stop you right there and play devil's advocate. 1986 or 1985 when they're making this movie, there's nobody that's a bigger star on the planet than Michael Jackson.
Know.
They're thinking, if Michael Jackson does a remake of this song, it's going to be a huge hit all over again.
Right.
It's going to bring a lot of people into the theater to see the movie. It's going to do all that.
Right.
Rob Reiner said, you know what? The original version suits the movie better. Turns out he's right because they use it. And guess what? It hits the top 10 again 25 years after it originally hit the top 10.
You're making a movie of a period. That's the music I want to hear. That's me.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Benny King's version of the song is classic. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Yeah. It's an awesome song.
Right.
Why mess with it? But again, Michael Jackson was the biggest guy in the world in 1985.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, they probably thought that
commercially, yes.
Yes.
I am talking about art.
I'm with you.
Awesome. All right.
Preaching to the choir. So one other thing that I have, the lead actors were not allowed to see Ray Brower's body until they unveil him on camera.
That's smart.
Yeah. The plan was that they wanted the boys to feel unsettled about what they were going to discover.
Right.
And get the best reaction from that.
Well, it's great because, I remember the first time watching the movie, it's like, oh, what are we going to see? Like, Vern saying, is it going to be mangled and bloody? And, am I going to have nightmares?
And that's another great line in the movie. The train knocked Ray Brower out of his keds the way it knocked the life out of his body.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's such great writing. I'm not 100% sure if that line is actually in the book. That sounds like something Stephen King would write.
Yeah.
But whether he wrote it or the screenwriters wrote it, that's phenomenal writing.
Yeah. And the kid that played the dead body, he's actually gone on in Hollywood's been a stunt actor, setting up stunts and things. And he's been on a bunch of shows. Well,
Erik, as usual, thank you for coming in and exploring another great movie with me. I appreciate it.
One of the best movies.
It's awesome. Thanks for listening, and check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/ScreenFacts if you have any questions or comments, screenfacts@yahoo.com if you want to email us, @JasonDavisVoice if you want to send a tweet. Please rate and subscribe on iTunes. You can also order ScreenFacts merchandise if you want to show your support that way. Go to the podcast page of JasonDavisVoice.com. And a special thanks to our announcer, Kim McKay from Kim'sVoice.com, and show theme music by Audionautics.com.
Goocher.
Screen Facts with Jason Davis is a production of Jason Davis VoiceOver. Visit JasonDavisVoice.com if you need a voice for a commercial, narration, promo, internet video, e-learning or training program, and more. Click on the podcast page to get information about where you can download and listen to past episodes. Listen again next Wednesday for a new episode of Screen Facts with Jason Davis.